I think the Patriots at other spots could make it work, and they have so far. As far as playing more safeties at linebacker, receiver. I think there's still room to grow for that group the more they play, especially with Cam Newton coming back. And defensive tackle, they always sign some guy and plug him in, and he does fine. But tight end, they're just getting nothing, Nick. I mean, 7 targets through 4 games is it's pathetic. And it's, if you thought last year was bad, and last year, as part of my column on BSJ, I went through basically like the last 10 years at quarterback and how much the tight end position has been a part of the passing offense. Last year dropped to a low of 10%. This year's half that. So last year wasn't good enough. This year certainly isn't good enough. And so I think that they need to do something. And I think, I'm calling the Browns about Njoku because I think you have the best chance to get a decent price for him because they have a couple of tight end options. I think Ingram for the Giants would be a little bit a higher price because Gettleman's probably not ready to sell the farm. And plus, in the NFC East, who knows what the heck's going to win that division. And they're still in it, even if they're winless. I think Gerald Everett, in terms of, athletic guys, they have Higbee, so maybe they're willing to move on for a guy in the final year of his deal. Zach Ertz in Philly, I've mentioned him in the past. I don't know. The more I read about him writing this story, the more he wants to get paid. That's the whole reason why he's having an argument with the Eagles. Is that
he's got a contract thing? Yep.
Yeah, he does. He's on the books. I think he has 2 more years left on his deal. He certainly has next year, and he's making 8.5, and he's not happy with that. So he wants a new deal. The Patriots aren't going to give him that kind of money, especially he's 30 now and on the downside of his career. So, and I think a lower priced option to give them another, probably a better receiving threat would be old friend Jacob Hollister from the Seahawks, who last year when he got more time when Will Dissly was hurt, he did a nice job. He had, somewhere in around, 45 catches last year. But now that they went out and got, who's the guy from Carolina? Greg Olsen. They got Greg Olsen to give a little bit more of a, veteran receiving threat. And Dissly's back. Now Hollister suddenly doesn't have a role and he doesn't have anything to do. He would certainly upgrade the Patriots in terms of an athletic guy who can catch the ball right now and knows the offense, and would probably be very cheap for them to get. So, that's sort of where I am on tight end. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about Njoku because of his health. I'm concerned about a number of guys because of their health as well. So when I look at the list that you put together, the guy that jumps out to me is Gerald Everett. I feel like I know what Hollister is. Again, you've got some health questions. I'm concerned about Zach Ertz's contract situation, and I've watched the Eagles a number of times this year. He doesn't look as spry. Now, maybe that's because they're not using him the same way, but he doesn't look like the same guy. They might be going away from him, but Dallas Goedert's been banged up. So to me, it feels like they need a tight end within that offense. So why is he not getting as much love? That's an interesting question that I haven't been able to answer just yet. So I look at Everett, I say he's athletic, he can catch the football. He's battling with a lot of guys out there in LA. We know McVay loves to throw the football, but he's got Cooper Kupp, he's got Reynolds, he's got other guys. You mentioned Higbee. So I think he's one of those guys that could possibly be a number 1 tight end in the right role with the right situation, and he's just healthier, and he has no contract stuff hanging over his head either. So the guy I look at is Everett. Now, as far as linebacker, you mentioned Deion Jones. I don't think.
Hang on. Before we go to linebacker, let's just expand a little bit on. I agree with you on Njoku. Like he seems to be always hurt, but he's talented. He's a kid who I think he ran a fast time out of the combine. I think they picked up his 5th year option, so that's there. I think it's around like 6 or 7 for next year. So at least you're getting a second year out of him. And, now that he's back from injury, maybe you're getting him. Maybe he's had his injury issue for the year and he's going to be fine.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. The same could be said for Evan Ingram. That's another guy you brought up.
Exactly. Another guy who's been beat up a lot.
Yep.
Talk about a tremendous upside in terms of his speed and athletic ability, and have they gotten the best out of him with Daniel Jones and all the changes there? Could Could he benefit by a change of scenery? Yes, I think so. But I think Everett is interesting. He's a guy who I've had my eye on for a couple years. And because he looks like, when you watch him play or you see him on the field, you're like, oh, that guy looks like a prototypical athletic tight end that can make plays in the passing game. But it hasn't been put together, and that it hasn't come together with him with McVay, which I wouldn't say is an overly complex system. It leads me to believe there are a bunch of red flags in terms of, football IQ, buy-in, toughness, whatever it is, it's not working with him. And if it's not working with him with McVay, who comes from the Kyle Shanahan tree, and we all know how much they love tight ends, and that he got passed by Tyler Higbee, who is a good tight end, but nothing great. I just have a lot of questions about that. And so, yeah, I mean, in terms of athletic ability, if you're looking for upside and something that you might not get from Izzo, Asiasi at some point, and Keene, then those are definitely the three guys that if you're the Patriots, you're going to Nick Caserio and the pro personnel department saying, like, all right, what's the deal with these guys? Let's watch some film, and then sort of ranking them and taking the best guy. I think if it were me, I think in terms of I would ask about Ingram first, but I don't think it's going to be a good answer. Then Njoku, and then Everett, and then we can get into sort of backup options if the price isn't reasonable.